All right, we're going to talk about portion size today. The first thing we're going to look at are volumes of glasses for beverages. Now, they vary so much in size and shape, it's very difficult to know how much a half a cup or a cup is. And so if you don't know how much you're eating, there's no way you can record it accurately. So first thing you need to do when you're at home is to get your glasses out and get a cup of water and then pour that cup so that you have an idea, your glasses, how much they're actually holding. So here are a couple of fairly normal glasses, but if you don't have these side by side, you really can't tell that there's much of a difference in the glass. So here's 8 ounces of water. So if we put 8 ounces of water into this glass, it fills it up completely. So this is an 8-ounce glass. When you fill this up to the top, you're getting 8 ounces, but you put the same amount of liquid into this glass, and this is probably a 10 or a 12-ounce glass. When you start getting to glasses like this, it gets even more difficult when there are stems involved. And so pour the water into your common glasses, have an idea of what 8 ounces is, pour 8 ounces into those glasses, and you will have then a pretty accurate knowledge of how much you're getting when you're talking about beverages. Now when you look at these very little glasses for juice, many times when you look at fruits and servings of fruits, it's going to be even smaller than 8 ounces. This is 4 ounces worth of juice. So it's half of what we've been pouring into these glasses. Here then is a very tall stemmed glass, and it has probably about 10 ounces. 8 ounces fills it to there. Alright, so that is volume of liquid beverages. You need to measure your glasses to find out how much you're getting in each one. Beverages. Second thing we want to look at then are bread items. So bread items are still somewhat difficult also. When you're talking about a slice of bread, that's pretty easy. But when you're talking about bagels, bagels come in all sizes. This bagel is about 3 ounces. Bagels can get to be 4 ounces, 5 ounces. So this is kind of a standard bagel. When you look back at traditional bagels, they were much smaller. So half of one of these medium-sized bagels is a serving as a piece of bread. Same thing with a bun. Half of a bun is about equal to 1 serving of bread as toast. And then the starchy vegetables, many of them count, potatoes would count as a starch. And so when you're looking at potatoes, this is about a half of a cup of potatoes, about 3.5 ounces of potato. So starches many times are fairly easy to determine. It gets much more difficult when you start looking at desserts. When it says a slice of pie, how much is that slice of pie? This says that it's 1/7 of a 9-inch pie. Pie pans can be 9 inches, 10 inches, sometimes larger. And so you need to know the size that it's coming out of to be able to accurately put it into the database. So a piece of pie, desserts can become somewhat difficult. One of the best things to do is to weigh them. And when you're putting it into the database, you can always put things in by weight. It's much more accurate to weigh it, get an idea of what that slice is. If it's a normal thing that you eat a lot of, you want to be able to put it in accurately. So the best thing to do on these is to weigh them, because if you look at something like this that's just sponge cake, 1 serving of sponge cake is really fairly light compared to 1 serving of apple pie, and the only way you can accurately know that is to weigh it. So weigh those out. Just like we did with the beverages, it's important with cereals and bowls to know how much your bowls contain. So here's 3/4 of an ounce of Frosted Flakes, Corn Flakes, a flake cereal. And in this little bowl, it fills it up about 3/4 of the way. But if you take the same cereal, I don't want to gross you out here, but the same cereal and put it in a different size bowl, it's really not much. So if you have a large bowl, when you're putting 3/4 of a cup of cereal into it, it can look like not much at all. And so again, you want to take your common bowl that you have at home, the one that you use, put the food that you commonly eat into it, measure it. You can even do the same thing with the measuring cup. Measure out 3/4 of a cup of the cereal that you consume most often. Put it in the bowl so you know what 3/4 of a cup looks like. Once you've done this with the cups and the glasses and the bowls and have an idea of how much 3/4 of a cup, 1 cup is, you don't have to go back and keep measuring them. But it's a good idea the first time through to look at the kind of bowl. Because if you have a deep bowl like this and you put this cereal in, it doesn't hardly show up. If you have a little bowl that's narrow, that it's shallow, then 3/4 of a cup just about fills it up. So know the bowls that you're using. Take the bowls that you have, test them out by filling them up. One of the most important things then are vegetables. Vegetables are fairly simple, especially in the study that we're running. Half a cup of vegetables is fairly standard. So if you look at this plate of vegetables, you can, the first time that you eat one of your favorite vegetables, put it in a measuring cup, measure out a half a cup, put it on a plate and see what it looks like. Most people would eat more. If this is your favorite, chances are you're not just going to eat this much corn. You can eat twice that. You can eat 3 or 4 times that amount. So take 1 cup, measure it out, put it on a plate, get an idea of what it looks like. But they look fairly standard. When you're talking about a half a cup of vegetables, once you look at it closely and understand what it is, it's fairly simple. And then a potato, many times you can put it in as a whole potato or a half potato. Lettuce is a little more problematic because you get a much bigger serving as 1 serving. So with lettuce, it's a half a cup of all these vegetables. Since this is mostly water, it can be 1/4 of a head of lettuce as a serving. So vegetables are fairly simple. A half a cup is the standard serving size for vegetables.